Hi, this is going to be the video where I rant about Killing Floor 3 for however long I want to. But before we start talking about anything, look at this screenshot. This is not a finished game. Laser clipping out of her shoulder, the gun is deeply clipping into the character model. This is unironically, legitimately the character's face. Look at the hair. Look at the lips. What even is this? This looks like early beta pre-release footage, not finished AAA product with a $100 special edition. Also, the servers were down for an entire day within the first 4 days of the game coming out. And now there's a new issue for the last 2 days where most people can't even play. They just get endlessly stuck in connecting. So this game is legitimately not finished. Do not buy this game. It does not work. It is not finished. And even if you do not run into any problems, I'm going to talk in length about how literally every single aspect of this game is, if not outright bad, at least poorly thought out. The gameplay you're seeing is going to be me beating Hell on Earth solo with every single class in the game. And that is to nullify the skill issue comments that I'm inevitably going to get for complaining about how poorly balanced and bad some aspects of this game are. Alright, so let's begin. To start this off, I don't care about the soul of Killing Floor. I'm not a Killing Floor fan. I've played the first game for like 20 hours, and I played the second game for like 100 hours. I'm also well aware people will just immediately invalidate it and say, oh, Taurus, you don't actually know Killing Floor. I don't care. And to add on to that, I don't care, by extension, that this isn't a real Killing Floor game, which I think is an insane criticism because it obviously is a real Killing Floor game. You load into a map with a perk and wave-based survival. They shook up most of the core elements, but, like, it's just such a fallacious, no true Scotsman thing to say. So, I will talk about those two things, but I genuinely don't give a fuck. I don't care. They could have called this game not Killing Floor. They could have called this game new IP 2025 Goyslop Unreal game, and I still would have the exact same complaints. So I guess I should elaborate on those a bit. There's this idea that Killing Floor has a certain aesthetic that it always has to adhere to, and that's what people call the soul of Killing Floor, where it's supposed to be grungy and grimy. And this actually leads into the maps really nicely, because the only reason every single map in this game is dark at nighttime is because the original beta, the maps were not dark, and apparently the soul of Killing Floor is everything needs to be dark 24/7. Which obviously I know is not true. I know people are talking about Killing Floor 1's aesthetic, which that's never coming back. Let's just rip this band-aid off right now. Killing Floor 1's aesthetic cannot be made with a big budget game in 2025. It just can't happen. The market won't allow for it. And a real Killing Floor game is honestly whatever the hell Tripwire wants it to be. But that criticism is really meaningless. But it's the thing everyone has to say. So let's start talking about why I don't like this game. Because, boy, this list is long. So before we get into the gameplay, there is something I want to go over. And this will probably be half the video. Because this game's problems aren't just gameplay related. In fact, I'd argue the moment-to-moment gameplay is probably the strongest part of the game, for better or worse, you know, whatever that means to you. So what do I mean by this? Leveling is garbage, and completely way more impactful this time around compared to Killing Floor 2. Leveling in this game, you literally cannot beat Hell on Earth unless you're, like, in the upper 10s, low to mid 20 range. I'm sure it's possible, as in it can be done. I was getting to round 4 pretty consistently at level 15, just for reference. But it's so not enjoyable and so obviously not designed to be played at that level range that you effectively, for all intents and purposes, have to level before you can play harder difficulties. Which means you have to play normal for like the first 10 whatever levels. Then you have to play hard for like the next 10, 15 levels. And you can't really start experimenting with Hell on Earth and legitimately contribute until like 2025, that range. And the reason why that's such a problem is because it takes like 25 fucking hours. You will be lucky to get 1 level per hour in this game. Genuinely. Unless you're like queuing with teammates and you're all pretty decent and you're playing on a difficulty that's like slightly above where you should be, this game is brutal in terms of grind. You will make 1 level an hour playing like solo if you're good and you're going through the waves effectively and quickly. So you're looking at anywhere from like 20 to 30 fucking hours of grind just to start playing the hardest difficulty and really contribute. And it just feels like shit. Because if you're like me, full disclosure, I cheated the levels and the grinding materials. I am not dedicating like 200 hours of my life just to grind materials and resources and grind levels to play on a difficulty that I find enjoyable. I'm not gonna sit in easy baby mode for like the next 3 weeks to grind stuff out just to play the one game mode. It's just not worth it. This game fucking sucks. It's just not worth it. And what makes this so much worse is even after the initial grind to hit 30, you still need to play like another 10, 15 hours on that class to get the final like 3 mastery levels. Because the way the skill system works is you gain proficiency points like next to XP. So you gain XP to gain levels, which unlocks the ability to buy perks. And then you need to spend a proficiency system, like which is a secondary experience currency, to actually cash in those levels and actually gain the perks. And you will hit 30 long before you max out all the perks. And you need to max out each perk. I guess I should say skills because the classes are called perks. But to max out each skills to gain the proficiency levels takes much longer than maxing out the perk. The character, I'll say. It just feels like shit. There's no way around it. Some characters, like the medic, their proficiency is literally useless garbage. It's movement speed. Who gives a fuck? It only affects Z time, which is a mechanic where you fill this red bar up here on the top, and the game goes into slow-mo. Then you have characters like the sharpshooter, where they gain 100% more damage during that time. And it's like, oh, okay, that proficiency matters a lot. This compounds when you consider that you need to do this for every single class. And you kind of recognize, like, right away, oh god, I don't want to fucking do that, ever, for any reason. So, I'm trying to, like, think for a second how long this grind would actually take. Because I grinded one class to 30 with 10 proficiency legitimately before I said, fuck this, I'm just cheating the rest of these. This is not... I literally respect my time too much to do this. Because it's not even fun to grind it, you know? You go back on easy mode, and then you play that until you can play on hard mode, and then you can finally start playing the one enjoyable difficulty. Oh, there's the scrake grab that I'll be complaining about probably in another hour. Anyway. So, on top of that, you don't just have to grind levels in this game, you also have to grind fucking crafting materials. This is where the this isn't a real killing floor game argument starts to get a lot more water. Why? Why is there even a crafting system to begin with in this game? To give you some context, every weapon has mod slots, and you have to spend resources you get in the mission to craft those mod slots and upgrade them. And this is not an optional system. This is another thing where, just like leveling up the perk itself, well, the character, I'll say, this isn't optional. To put this into perspective, the Scar with no upgrades does like 90 damage a bullet. The Scar with full upgrades does 173 per bullet. And the Scar with full upgrades and with proper bonus perks on those upgrades, because of course there's a fucking RNG aspect to the crafting, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the difference between no mods is 90 damage, full mods is 170 damage, and full mods with the extra like 24% damage from the perks, it's like 200 and like I think 7 damage exactly, something like that. Then you get a headshot and double it. So just having regular mods fully maxed out with no bonus perks, you're hitting for like 350 a shot, 340, 350. With the bonus perks, you're hitting for like 420, 430. It's like not even comparable. So not only do you need to spend like 30, 40 hours per class to fully max them out, you then need to spend like 10, 20 hours to get crafting materials to max out each weapon. Then you need to spend literally endless amounts of time until you roll the correct perk on each mod slot. It's like it's genuinely a shitty system designed. This is exactly like Dark Tide's original crafting system. Though that one was worse, I will say. The original like crafting system from the beta before we got Hadron. Yeah, I'm talking about the original system. There was 3 reworks to this system. Anyway, it's designed like that, where the idea is like you can play forever and get marginally stronger. The problem is the game doesn't feel like it was playtested or balanced at all for Hell on Earth, because the difference between playing with fully maxed out weapons that have wrong bonus perks and fully maxed out weapons with bonus perks is ridiculous. For example, you can get crowd control on your weapons. Crowd control is very hit or miss in this game. It's either really strong or really weak. A lot of the time it ends up on the weaker end because most weapons can't apply enough of it in enough of an area efficiently enough to matter. But you can get what's called stumble power, and you can stack these bonus perks 3 times. Well, it's 20 per perk, or I say bonus, so that's 60 stumble power. Well, 60 stumble power, you basically get to choose your one crowd control affliction with your ammo type, and guess what? Fucking 60 is what the maxed out stumble mod gives you. So this is like double crowd control. And all of a sudden, it goes from borderline useless to, yeah, in 3 shots, I can permanently stun lock the biggest enemies in the game. And it's like, what the fuck? You know? So the difference is gigantic. And the grind is brutal. You get materials from killing certain enemies. It's like a 5% chance or whatever. Breaking objects in the map. And it's as miserable as it sounds. Every game, you're spending half of it running around breaking these like glowing billboards or cameras or whatever. And then you get hard bottlenecked by this material called gray matter. Or biosteel, depending on what difficulty you play on. Biosteel you can at least farm out in the map. Gray matter can only come from enemies. Which means you're just kind of at the mercy of RNG. If you play on Hell on Earth, the problem is mitigated by there being just like 3 times as many spawns in multiplayer especially. Multiplayer Hell on Earth rounds have like 400 enemies, so you will get a fairly healthy amount of it, enough to max your guns out pretty quickly. But wait, if you don't have already mostly maxed out perks and maxed out guns, you can't play on Hell on Earth. And that's when you get into this problem, which let me grab this screenshot for you real quick. Because if you're smart, you've already figured out what this means. Hell on Earth has a 0.4% win rate because everybody wants to play with the difference between hard and Hell on Earth is about twice as many enemies, which means twice as many crafting materials, which means if you aren't at the level where you can comfortably play on Hell on Earth, ironically, the best way to get there is to just play on Hell on Earth and make it everybody else's problem to carry you. Because that's how you get the most XP, and that's how you get the most materials, and it just leads to this incredibly, incredibly fucking toxic death spiral, where everybody wants to play Hell on Earth, but only like less than 1% of the population is geared and skilled enough to be able to do it. And that problem's probably not going to get much better as time goes on, honestly, as more people keep quitting. The crafting system, as I've already touched on, is fucking terrible. There is bonus perks, and there's 15 possible perks you can roll, but there's only ever 1, maybe 2 that you actually ever want, because 90% of them are terrible. To put this into perspective, one of them adds 15 toxic power. Toxic is a dot that after you've built up enough of it, ticks for like, it's like 15 damage a second or something ridiculous like that. Okay, well, big enemies like Skrakes and Flesh Pounds have like 3,000-4,000 health. So that dot is literally fucking worthless. You'd have to spend more ammo applying the dot than it would be to just kill them flat out without the dot. Like, it's not worth it. Then there are other things where it's like gain 5% damage for standing next to your teammates, which you do 100% of the time anyways. And it's like, oh, okay, so on one hand, abysmal dog shit that does nothing. On the other hand, literal fucking 5% damage increase. And people have been complaining that that's not that impactful. You're right. Getting just one of them isn't very impactful. But if you considered what happens when you get them on all 6 of your mod slots, yeah, you start dealing like 24% damage in that ballpark. And then that damage bonus is getting doubled by getting a headshot, so it turns into like a 48% damage increase. And that's how you get situations where one guy like me, who has all this shit, can just like absolutely stomp things, and you have to spend like a quarter of your ammo to kill one Scrake. Though that also has to do with the elemental Pokemon type chart damage system that I'll complain about in the future. So the attachments are also wildly imbalanced. For example, almost every gun has the same 2 attachments in the internal receiver slot, where one of them will increase the fire rate by like 30% and give you like 5-10% damage. The other one will be like minus 20% fire rate plus 30% damage. And I'm laughing because it's ridiculous. You would never ever increase the fire rate ever. It's like it genuinely feels like it's like a did you graduate high school check. Because like, why would I take 20% fire rate and like 5% damage when I could take 30 to 50% damage and like minus 5% fire rate when it's maxed out? Because this isn't a game where firing fast matters. This is a game where just doing as much damage per shot matters. Because a big problem is there's so many enemies in this game that you run out of ammo so often. Like, there's a handful of weapons that don't have this problem, and I hope you like seeing the gameplay you're currently seeing. I mean, seriously, just as a side tangent for a second, just look at this fucking gameplay. Like, does this look even remotely interesting to you? The entire time I've just been backing up and shooting these guys with this, like, laser gun. And, like, this is all you're gonna see, so I hope you enjoy it. Because this is how you play this game. The enemies are retarded, but I'll talk about the AI and gameplay further in the video. Just know, the strat is every enemy just walks towards you in a line, so you just walk around in a circle and shoot them as you walk backwards, and you can never lose. It's fucking garbage. So, another problem that I encountered, because I'm a cheaty McCheater face and gave myself like 100,000 of every material, is this system is brutally unfair. It takes like an hour. I was streaming myself doing this. People saw it takes about 4 hours to do like 2 classes. If you want to make one set with optimal bonus perks for solo play and then one set with optimal bonus perks for multiplayer play, it's like an hour or 2 of just straight up re-rolling. It also costs like 5,000 materials per class to do that. And it's just absurd, frankly. You just sit there clicking away, re-roll, recycle, roll, recycle, roll, recycle, roll, recycle. You do that for like an hour. It's the most boring thing you can imagine. And yeah, it's not necessary, but my God, does it help. So I've made a weapon set for every single weapon in the game now. One for solo, one for multiplayer, completely min-maxed. Best possible perks. I've tested every single one of them pretty extensively. And it took me all in all about 15 hours. Not of grinding, just of crafting in the menus. It also cost me about 30,000 of the white materials. Yeah, you heard that right. If you want to min-max in this game, I hope you're ready to dedicate your fucking life to playing it all day, every day, for like the next couple years. Because that's genuinely what it takes, just to get a couple percents of more damage. It's just the most ridiculous thing. Like, I'm trying to think if I have anything more to say about the crafting system, but that's just it. It's so shallow, it's hard to find anything to say. Like, every weapon has an obviously correct mod choice. Every mod choice has an obviously correct bonus perk. It's just a matter of mindlessly grinding resources in the game and then mindlessly clicking craft and then recycle and then recrafting it until you get what you want on the correct mod. There's no depth, there's no experimentation, there's no nothing. Frankly, the only things you have to experiment with are random shit where it says, like, adds 1 toxic power. And none of the information in this game is clear. For example, there's one perk that says 33% chance to gain 1 bonus ammo on kill. Like, it adds it to the magazine. And you're like, oh, on certain weapons like a grenade launcher, that can be like infinite ammo. But no, it's not. It's actually like one of the worst in the entire game. All it does is take 1 bullet from your magazine and put it in, or 1 bullet from your reserve and put it in your magazine. So it's just like, why? You know? Yeah, it can stop a couple of reloads, but like, that doesn't help you win. That doesn't help you deal more damage or help you stay alive. Why would you ever choose that over 5% flat damage from like the multiplayer perks? You know? So it's wildly imbalanced. And because it's wildly imbalanced, you're rolling a 1 in 15 on 6 mods twice per weapon. Yeah, I'll let you do the math on that. And this ties into the skill system as well, because, oh my god, the skill system is so fucking bad. The skill system is so insanely bad. I could honestly, I want to make an entire video just going over every character's skills. Because this is another game where you do not get to choose what you want. You net deck what the best options are, and that's all anyone's going to use. You do not have any freedom in this system. You do not get to choose what sounds cool. Well, not if you want to be effective. Obviously, you can choose to just do whatever you want. The problem with that is we're talking, this is a system that has perks like this in it. Here, let me pause the game real quick, or the video just to show you. We're talking, do I want 25% less damage taken from basically everything, because everything this class does is set things on fire? Or do I want one time, every 10 seconds, to kill a trash mob that attacked me? Like, what? Actually think about this. So once every 10 seconds, you can kill one of the shittiest, weakest enemies in the game, and nothing else. Enemies that you can kill literally by bashing them for free or shooting them once with your pistol. Or do you want everything, bosses, scrakes, flesh pounds, ranged enemies, to deal 25% less damage to you? I wonder what the correct choice is. That's why I said this is like a retard check. Because you'd have to be literally fucking mentally deficient to ever take this. And just as a side note, skills like this can never be made good. Ever. They can never, ever be made good. Literally, you could make this say deals 3,000 damage and it would not be good and would never be taken over this. Just side thing on skills. I think I'll make a video breaking down every single character's skill tree like I did for Space Marine 2. Because this game's very similar to Space Marine 2 in its original launch. Where, like, there's obviously just one good perk and then the rest is like, why the fuck would you ever even bother with this? Okay, so right there, hold on. You can see what I'm talking about material bottlenecks. Hold on. Let me pull this up. So, look at this. This is exactly what I mean by material bottlenecks. 6 biosteel, 16 gray matter. So these two are equivalent currencies. You need as much as both of these to craft mods for a weapon. Because there's mods that take only gray matter and mods that take only biosteel, and they all take the same. And there's 3 gray matter mods per weapon and 3 biosteel mods per weapon. So I could have gotten more biosteel by breaking these like red things back here, but there's only like 4 of them on each map. So you gain one resource much faster than the other one. So I before I decided to just cheat everything in so I could actually test stuff so I knew what I would be talking about for this video, I had like 300 gray matter and like 20 biosteel. I was just so completely bottlenecked by this one resource. It feels terrible. There's no way to convert it. Had like 2,000 of like this chemical agent shit, but there was no way to convert it into like biosteel. Like, why can't I take biosample and scrap metal and, at a ratio of one of these and one of these, turn it into one of these? Or like chemical agent plus something. I don't know. The point is, why the fuck can you not convert resources? Like, I just want to put this into perspective. This problem started with Vermintide because Deep Rock was smart enough to have a conversion system. Vermintide 2 launched with no way to convert dust. Green dust became the rarest commodity in the game, forcing everyone to play on like Veteran. Darktide came out. There was no way to convert plasteel into diamantine or diamantine into plasteel, which would have been much preferable. So people like me have inventories of like 300k diamantine and like 0 plasteel for years. And now Killing Floor 3 is coming out with the exact same problem. This entire genre is just distraught with garbage fucking metrics chasing, I almost said a slur, fucking gay ass crafting systems. They all have the same fucking problems. They all never learn from each other. The 4-player horde shooter genre has become the AI generated goy slop garbage genre of gaming. They all have crafting systems that are heavily dependent on RNG. Deep Rock has overclocks. Vermintide 2 has re-rolling blessings until you get the one you want. Darktide has the most notoriously bad crafting system of any game ever. And now this game. And none of them allow you to convert resources. Like, it's just, you're always bottlenecked by something in these games. You're always just spam clicking in a menu until you get the thing you want. Why even have it? Just let me meet a material amount that you specify and let me just get the thing that I want. I would rather if the system just worked like, hey, you can convert materials, 2 white materials turns into 1 green, and then 2 greens turns into 1 blue, so on and so forth. And hey, maybe you can spend an ichor to choose your bonus perk guaranteed. These systems, it's like they saw MMO grinding and were like, that's what this genre needs. That's what Left 4 Dead always needed. MMO style gear grind. Hey guys, the reason why the grind works in an MMO is because I'm barely tabbed into the grind. I'm grinding for that gear and those rolls in that mythic dungeon while I'm sitting in Discord with 5 of my friends talking to them while we're all watching YouTube together because it doesn't require our full focus. And it's not the literal only thing there is to do in the game. That's why the long, tedious grinds work in MMOs. Because it's more of a backdrop. Oh yeah, I should be playing this, sorry. It's more of a backdrop to the social elements. Well, guess what? This game doesn't have any social elements. This game didn't even launch with a fucking text chat. But yeah, skills are just ludicrously imbalanced. Here, let me just skip ahead to the next game for you. Ah, yes. The Firebug. The most broken class in the game right now. Oh, I'll have stuff. There it is. This is where I got the screenshot from, by the way. Like, you can see, I'm not cherry picking it. That's just actually what they're happy presenting. Honestly, I mean, did you see that animation just now? I really hope I do it again just to really show it off. Come on, just one more. It should be the next one in queue. Just one. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Let me just try to go back just a couple seconds here. Look at this animation. The magazine slides in on its own. I'm not cherry picking when I say this is one of the worst games, like, ever that's been released in the last, like, 10 years. Look at this. Yoink. The hands up, the magazine just, like, ghost slides in. There was no love or care put into this. People with passion didn't make this game. Anyway, so half of all the skills in this game are useless traps that you're better off just not even bothering taking. And the reason why this is such like an annoying problem, because Darktide has a few of these skills. I really have to praise Darktide's skill system here, because while I'm like notorious for overreacting to things in Darktide, something I've always maintained is that you'll be fine even if you don't... Oh yeah, that's an example of the really bad shooting in this game, which I'll have more to say on later. But shooting in this game feels like shit. But anyway. Even in Darktide, even if you're a veteran that takes Infiltrate and Smoke Grenades and all that garbage, terrible shit, like the 1 speed aura, you're at least contributing. It's at least making you stronger somehow. In this game, there are perks that literally are not active, for like 80% of the game. And then they do like one minor thing. You know, like the medic has a perk that like revive people 20% faster. And it's like, okay, but he's the medic. His whole thing is making sure people don't go down by giving them health. So, like, isn't that kind of counter? Do you take a perk that increases your healing, stopping downs altogether, or do you take a perk that very minorly increases your ability to get people back up? It's just such a fucking no-brainer that it's like, why would you ever take this? Anyway. And this problem extends into class design as well. Let me pause again to show you a specific perk, but this is why I was on Firebug. Read this perk right here. Bashes deal 2,500 bonus damage. This bonus is doubled against burning enemies. And then burn afflicts enemies with heat, blah, 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 blah. So let me just run down here. The ninja is the melee class. He's all about melee. He's all about doing damage with melee. That's his thing. Well, let me ask you a question. Why would you ever, in any world, play the ninja when you can just do this? Every single one of these that you're seeing, which if you don't know what you're seeing, this is a bash, and then using the reload inspect animation to cancel the bash, and I've just macroed it, so this is like 400 ms, it's as fast as possible. And then the bash perk, so think about this. This is 794 damage on that secondary damage. Every single perk I have, like every single mod on this weapon, gives me 20% more bash damage. So I'm getting 120% bash damage on top of 500 flat bash damage from the perk on Firebug. So this is hitting for like 2,000. Every single one of these is doing 2,000 damage. Do you know the maximum damage Ninja can do with the same setup? Because ironically enough, doing the same thing is his highest melee damage. He could only hit like 1,700. And that's before we get into any other differences between the classes. That one singular perk makes Firebug a better melee class than the dedicated melee class. Why even have a fucking melee class at that point? If you're just going to make perks like that that step on the toes of other classes. And what are you going to do? Nerf that perk? Okay, then Firebug basically doesn't have a 26 tier perk that you'd ever want to use. Because the other two are like so bad they're not even worth mentioning. So, and just every class suffers from this problem. They have skills that you literally can never use because they're so bad. Skills that you absolutely need to use because they're critically overpowered. And skills that completely invalidate the existence of another class. And like, there you go. That is the skill system in this game. Another thing, some characters basically don't even function until you get a certain skill. For example, Commando has a skill where the longer he shoots, the more damage he gains, capping out at 30%. That's actually one of the biggest damage boosts in the game, 30%. Well, guess what? That class, that doesn't come online until level 26. And do you know what else? He doesn't get a single damage increasing perk until that he gets that one. Or a skill, I should say. He doesn't get a single skill to increase his damage until his final skill. It feels like that skill should come first. Because his whole thing is fast-firing weapons that do relatively low damage, but make up for it with big ammo pools and fast fire rates. Okay, well, fast-firing low damage is the worst thing in the game, because that means you have to pay more for their ammo, and they run out of ammo the fastest, which means they clear the least amount of the wave before running out of ammo. So the one perk that kind of makes that viable is the last thing he unlocks. So Commando is like garbage. You sit there woefully underpowered for like the first 20 levels. Then you finally unlock the perk that the skill that makes the class like begin to function. And then he starts feeling pretty good. Oh, hey, look, there's another one of those animations where the thing just slides out of place while my character's hands are nowhere near it. Oh, what, did you think that was a one-time thing? Oh, no, there's like 7 weapons that have that problem. See, if that was something that only affected one or two weapons, I'd say, it's just an oversight. But the fact that it affects almost every weapon with an extended mag to some degree tells me that it's either incompetence in the development team or just legitimate laziness. And the paragon of bad skills is the ninja. Let me just pause again to go back in game and show you this. The ninja is, objectively speaking, the worst class in the game. No one else even remotely comes close to how bad this fucking guy is. Look at this shit right here. So killing an enemy gives him health. Okay, cool. And grants 30% increased melee damage for 5 seconds. Why is it only 5 seconds? Like, when you see how I'm kiting away from all these scrakes and flesh pounds and shit? Yeah, good luck ever trying to benefit from this. Do you know what the best way to play ninja is? You take this perk right here. Weapons deal 100% increased bleed affliction and deal 25% increased damage to bleeding enemies. And damaging a bleeding enemy with your weapons heals you for 3 health over 3 seconds. Do you know what the best way to play this character is? You take this perk right here, because notice, that says 25% damage to all weapons, not melee, and it adds bleed affliction to all weapons. Some of you who play this game a lot already know where I'm going with this, but the best way to play this character is to go right here and grab a scar. Now your scar is doing bleeding damage. I don't know why my screen is shaking like this. This is not normal at all, by the way. As you can see, it stopped. This game has so many fucking bugs. It's like ridiculous. You saw my screen was all wonky there, and now it's just normal. But yeah, every bullet is now applying bleed and making me deal 25% more damage, and every single bullet is healing you. The ninja is an objectively better fucking commando than the fucking commando is. Because the ninja heals for shooting people and gets the same damage bonus he would get for melee. So why would you ever use the inferior melee weapons? And like right here, apply increased stumble affliction with all weapons. Again, this is all weapons. So that scar is now doing like 300 points of stumble because stumble from the ammo, stumble from the weapon mod bonuses, and now increased stumble from this perk. So now it's like stun locking ultra heavy Zeds, it's healing you for shooting, and it's gaining the same damage increase that melee would gain. Why the fuck would you ever melee? And then you consider that Firebug gets a perk that gives her 500 flat melee damage. What is 30% of 700 from the kunai? Yeah, it's a lower number than 500. Actually, it's a significantly lower number. So, like, even if you were going to go full melee, you would just play Firebug. And if you just wanted to play, like, Assault Rifle Man, you just wanted to run around with a machine gun and shoot people, you know, the thing SWAT and Commando used to do, you would just play Ninja. Because Ninja not only heals himself for doing it, he can also get 50 increased max health. So he's just straight up tankier than the Commando, and he's just, like, he heals where the Commando doesn't heal. And you see how this is 25% increased damage? Guess what? Commando's, like, only damage perk. Guess how much damage it adds? Oh, what do you know? 30%. So you're giving up 5% damage to gain bleed, which makes up for that 5% damage, by the way. Double crowd control, and you're gaining constant health for attacking them with the fast fire rate. It's a complete fucking joke. It's a complete joke. The ninja's a better commando than the commando. The Firebug's a better berserker than the berserker. And the Firebug is also sort of a better sharpshooter than the sharpshooter. To a degree, because of the Vulcan. Like, what the fuck? Who designed this? Speaking of ninja, and you know what? Let me just tab back in for a second. Ninja really wants to perfect parry. He gets an AoE guaranteed stun when you perfect parry. He gets, where is it? He gets damage increase on perfect parry. He gets, he gets his gadget back on perfect parry. There's a way for him to restore health and armor on perfect parry as well. Yeah, right here. He gets health back on perfect parry, and I'm pretty sure he fucking heals on perfect parry. Or I'm sorry, he restores armor on perfect parry as well. I think somewhere. Oh yeah, also this right here, deal 20% increased weapon damage when hitting enemies in the head. Again, weapon damage, not melee weapon damage. So this is 20% damage to everything for headshots. This is 25% damage against bleed. This guy does more damage than the commando using the commando's weapons while healing for using them. He's just a better commando at this point. Ironically, if you play him this way, it might make Commando the worst class in the game. But if you try to, but you would never, unless you are deliberately chasing meta, you would never, ever, ever think to do that. To combine these two perks to have like a healing, more damaging machine gun than Mr. Machine Gun Man. Anyway, the reason why this is so garbage and you literally can't do melee in the first place is because melee is a complete fucking clusterfuck. Because multiplayer sucks in this game. It is so goddamn laggy. I'm sorry for repeating myself so much there. But it's so goddamn laggy. The multiplayer in this game is so laggy that if you... Okay. I was timing it with OBS. I was recording, doing action playback, and then I was going frame by frame. You have about like a 7-ish frame window to perfect parry in this game, which is about on par with Dark Souls. It's a little more lenient. You know, it's like anywhere from 7 to 10 frames, we'll say. So it's like slightly to moderately more lenient than parrying in Dark Souls with a buckler shield. Well, this game is peer-to-peer, which means if you're playing with anyone who's living more than like 500-ish miles away from you, you're going to have like 100 millisecond delay of ping, which is every 10 milliseconds is about a frame of delay-ish, give or take. Just a general rule of thumb. So you're looking at like anywhere from 7 to 10 frames of delay on average when playing multiplayer. Which basically means your perfect parries need to happen almost an entire perfect parry window before the perfect parry. Why? You can be a parry god in Dark Souls, be able to parry every hit of Miquella's waterfowl or whatever, like her long combos, and still miss half of every parry in this game through no fault of your own. So that means perfect parry is just kind of off the table. And then you consider that on top of that, perfect parrying also means you have to use a gun. I'm sorry, you have to use melee, which robs you of using a gun, which is the best way to play ninja in the first place. And this class is all topsy-turvy, man. You know, Kanye likes fingers in the ass, Diddy likes children, and it's like, bro, everything's all topsy-turvy now, you know? The other problem with multiplayer is the rubber banding. So not only does it lag super bad, and by the way, the lag compounds the problems that this game has with movement, and just, it doesn't feel good to play this game. So, I'll talk about this more in depth later, but this game has the worst, most inconsistent controls ever. I'll slide and still be stuck in crouching after slide. I'll have to ADS, I'll have to click ADS twice to make it happen. Like right there, right there, right there. Good example. The Vulcan's a perfect example of this. Like, look, if you start charging the Vulcan and then anything interrupts the charge, and you are holding down M1, the charge doesn't restart. You have to re-click M1 to start another charge. So if you're charging and then climb over something or jump or whatever, you've got to start another charge. It doesn't just do it for you. So this game just ends up feeling like clunky dog shit, where you have to click multiple times to get certain actions to happen consistently. There were so many times when I was recording this where I was like, oh my god, just do the thing. I'm pressing the button, do the thing. And I have to press it 3 times for it to happen. And this isn't solo. It's even worse in multiplayer. So there's also a lot of rubber banding. Once you get into the 150, 200 ping zone, which all that takes is playing from like NA to EU, and you'll always have that. Once you get into that zone, there's a speed limit and there's rubber banding. Which, if you're not familiar, means, let's say I'm holding my knife, and I'm ninja, so I'm like the fastest thing there is in the game. If you just sprint like that, you like start teleporting backwards a couple steps. Because the game can only handle you moving so fast. This is another problem I'll talk about later, but there's too much movement speed in this game. Every character has access to a perk that gives you increased movement speed, which kind of just invalidates the entire gameplay loop, what little of it there is, because you just take the movement speed. By the way, for this gameplay, I deliberately did not choose the movement speed perks. Yes, I could have made this gameplay the hardest difficulty in the hardest mode solo. I could have made this substantially easier than it's already looking by taking the movement speed perks. Because just like Dark Tide, moving faster than the enemies 100% of the time means they can never catch up to you, so it's kind of broken. Hey, you remember that thing we all complained about with the dueling sword, how you can just endlessly kite and outrun everything? Yeah, that's a problem here too. Every character has access to like a 30% movement speed increase perk that has like 70% uptime, if not more. So I'll let you imagine what that does for a game where every enemy's only method of attack is shoot a fireball at you or sprint towards you in one big crowd. Yeah, I'll let you just imagine what that does to the gameplay. Problem though, in multiplayer, the speed limit takes effect and you're constantly like stutter stepping back. You know how in StarCraft 2, I almost said fucking Soul Calibur 2 and Space Marine 2 at the same time. But you know how in StarCraft 2, the high-skilled Terrans stutter step their Marines for faster fire rate? They go like brr, 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 in bursts while moving. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like running at full speed in this game in multiplayer. It's really shit. So this leads to the connection issues, which I already showed you, but it really does bear repeating. The always online nature of this game means that if there's any problems with the servers, I'm going to show you a screenshot that should honestly tell you everything you need to know. Now, keep in mind everything that's already been said about the progression system and how mandatory it is to get attachments and all that. And then look at this screenshot. No connection to online service, progression, matchmaking, and social features are disabled. Progression. Progression is disabled. If you're not aware of the full implications of that, crafting mods and unlocking skills are server-sided. Which means if the servers for this game ever turn off, or if you ever don't have an internet connection, or if you try to play this game like in the car with no Wi-Fi or something on like the Steam Deck, you know, you're like the passenger seat for a ride or whatever, you are stuck at level 1, you cannot build attachments, and you will effectively never be able to play anything past easy, which is so brain dead easy you will be bored of it in a few hours. Yeah, stop killing games, anyone? And as I showed you, the online service is complete fucking dog shit. Also, I need to pause and show you what just happened for a second there with that siren. Because this is going to come up again later, where I talk about how awful the hit reg in this game is, both for you and enemies. We'll pause when we get there, don't worry. So, the always online is a big problem, because this game has literally no need for it. This game's already cracked. I'm literally tomorrow going to upload a guide on how to cheat this game if you don't want to deal with the progression like I did. You want to like just get all the mats and all the classes maxed out. Because if you don't do that before the servers go down or before you lose an internet connection, you just can never play the game effectively. So we're going to start talking a little bit more about the gameplay now. I know it's been like an hour to get here, but yeah, this game is just that fucking bad. But before we do that, I'd like to showcase this. So you see how far away I am? And right here, I'm barely not standing in this red circle. And look, like I'm at like the tail edge of it. Projectiles in this game, it will be made more apparent later, but projectiles in this game have much bigger hitboxes than the visual model of it lets on. Anyway, it is really, really bad that this game does not have a weight system. Because, for example, the Vulcan. If this was Killing Floor 2, the Vulcan would be like a 12-pound weapon. You'd basically have to choose between only the Vulcan and nothing else. Or you'd have to choose between not having the Vulcan and having 2 other decent weapons. Which, even if that was the case, you'd still always take the Vulcan, but I digress. The weight system being gone hurts this game a lot. Because do you know what every single fucking multiplayer game devolves into? It's either someone, and this is another problem, there's no reason to use your perk weapons. As I showed with Ninja, you get objectively more DPS not using... Think about it from Ninja, because that's the most obvious example. So Ninja does more DPS using a gun. He heals more using a gun because he attacks more. So what? And it's much safer because he doesn't have to be in the face of the melee enemies. Which makes Ninja play exactly the same as the other classes, where he just walks back and kites and shoots. And what is your incentive to use melee other than it's cool, fun, and I want to do it? Which is valid, don't get me wrong. But just because it's heckin' valid Zister doesn't mean it's good, and it doesn't mean it's what you should ever do in Hell on Earth. Listen, there is a reason why Hell on Earth has a 0.4% win rate. It's because people are trying to do what they think is fun and what the classes are trying to make you do. The problem with that is that's how you lose this game. If you want to actually win, you are not allowed to do what is fun and plays into the class identity. You buy the explosive Bonebreaker shotgun or macro the kunai and abuse that. And then you buy the grenade launcher with like enfeeble on it, so everything is super slow and does less damage. And you buy those 3 things until you can afford the Vulcan. That's how you actually win. And you like never break from that formula for the most part. And to add on to that, the weapon meta is just, it's already stale. The game hasn't even been out for a full 7 days, and I already hate using the meta weapons. See, at least the Dueling Sword and Darktide I could play with forever because it was super fun to use. The Vulcan is not a fun weapon. It has so many bugs attached to it. It has so many little usability features that don't work. I already mentioned the charging, how you need to sometimes multiple click, how it doesn't save it's not smart, it doesn't remember that you were charging, and you have to restart charges for, like, everything. It's the clunkiest, least satisfying gun to use. But it's the gun, like, you kind of have to use. This is the gun you use when you want to win, and never use if you want to have fun. Basically, the Dueling Sword. Damage typing is the next thing I need to talk about. And this is another thing that I kind of need to hop into the game to show you. This is also what makes the ninja so fucking bad. So, by the way, shoutouts, I just want to say, shoutouts to the people that watched this video long enough to hear me say the ninja's the worst class in the game, said this dude's a retard, doesn't know what he's talking about, but they completely missed this section because they heard one thing they didn't like and they clicked off. So, the damage type of all melee weapons is cut. Ninja scales cut and electrical better than anyone else. And he scales cut better than anything else. The problem is cut is the worst damage type in the game. Effective against flesh. Ineffective against armor and Z-Tech. Okay. Well, this guy is flesh. This guy is flesh. I think. This guy's flesh. Alright, these guys are all flesh. Except, no, they're not. Do you see their weaknesses and strengths down there? Yeah, none of them are weak to cut. Okay. The bloat is weak to cut. Okay, none of these guys are weak to cut. Oh, the flesh pound takes like 50% less damage from cut. Okay. The Scrake is weak to cut. But, is the Scrake really the kind of enemy you want to be standing in front of in melee? He's like the most damaging thing in the game other than a boss. So, like, the only thing that cut damage is good against is Scrakes. It's weak against every boss. Yeah, like, every single boss takes reduced damage from cut. Basically everything in the fucking game except for bloats and skrakes take reduced damage from cut. So cut is like is objectively the worst damage type in the game. Oh, and do you know what completely invalidates the cut thing as well? The Scrake is strong against electric. So if you were going to play Ninja the way Ninja is trying to get you to play him, you would scale cut and electric. Well, guess what, fucker? The Scrake is strong against electric and weak against cut. Which means if your weapon is split 50-50 and you're investing in cut and electrical damage, the fact that he's taking half damage from cut and all of your cut investment, but double from electric, puts you right back where you fucking started, fucko. So, like, the one enemy that is weak to, or, like, could potentially be strong against cut is completely nullified. Unless the only thing you build is cut. But do you know what the problem with that is? You hear that, SpongeBob? We didn't need to buy a hat. You know what the problem with building only cut is and using melee? This weapon is only cut. This weapon is only cut on the secondary, which granted, bash abusing this with a macro is what you should be doing anyway, so I will give some props to the ninja. But his final tier melee weapon, primary fire mode, cut damage, 287. Secondary fire mode, electrical and cut damage. So even if you scale cut, his supposed best, like, class fantasy weapon, its best mode is electrical damage. So even if you were going to build this guy the way the game wants you to build him, for, like, his melee and his katanas and shit, the one enemy that you need to be strong against, because he's, like, the most dangerous enemy, it completely nullifies it. Hear that, SpongeBob? We didn't need to buy a hat. Also, what the fuck even is Z-Tech? They don't explain it to you. It doesn't say, like, oh, you know, in the tips here, it doesn't say, like, oh, his chest is Z-Tech. We don't get to see damage regions. I assume this is Z-Tech because it's metal-y. But then again, everything in this fucking game looks the same and is metal-y. So what the fuck is Z-Tech? What enemies count as Z-Tech? You know? Like, what do we, you see what I'm saying? Like, what do we do with this? Oh, and by the way, Chimera, strong against lightning. Queen Crawler, neutral to cut and lightning. And the Impaler is weak to lightning. So, the ninja, again, is getting reduced damage versus all the bosses but one. And if you don't go the electric katana class fantasy route, then he's just weak to every single boss. This is an example of how every single aspect of the ninja class just feels like it's not designed to work with how the game itself has actually been designed. And this leads into a bigger problem with the weapon damage types. If you are using, like, say, let's go back here to in-game codex. Zeds. Right, the Flesh Pound, strong against ballistic, cut, toxic. The Scrake, strong against ballistic, force and lightning. Okay, so basically, everything that the Flesh Pound is weak to, the Scrake is strong against. They just have flipped strengths and weaknesses, is basically what I'm clumsily trying to say. Which means you either need to build two weapons, one for Scrakes and Flesh Pounds. But do you know something funny? Do you want to hear the absolute most hilarious thing? Do you know what they're both neutral against? Heat damage. Heat damage. Do you know what the Vulcan is? Heat damage. Can you figure out why the Vulcan is the only, like, really good meta gun yet? Because the Vulcan is the gun that has the damage type that none of the enemies are particularly strong against, and has the most ammo, so it's actually capable of killing an entire Hell on Earth wave. That's how you get a situation where this is basically the only gun that you really want to use because it's the only gun that can really do everything. And this is what I mean. All of the problems are interconnected. You can't just nerf the Vulcan. Because if you nerf the Vulcan, then the grenade launcher is what everyone goes to. Because it's also a 400 damage weapon that can be made to do only heat damage. So, like, you either just keep nerfing every high damage heat weapon until heat is no longer a valid damage type, which means Firebug becomes, like, one of the worst classes. And, like this is what I'm saying. So what? Do you change the... Like, how would you even fix this? Do you just keep nerfing all the heat weapons? Do you add heat, strength, and vulnerability to either the Scrake or Flesh Pound and then give it to the other one? Give the opposite to the other one? Okay, then heat just becomes like a worse toxic. Then nobody would use heat. They would just use toxic to do enfeeble. Because enfeeble's a better dot. Like, they have created a system that's impossible to balance. This is bad video game design. If you nerf heat and, if you nerf heat by making all the heat weapons less effective than the other guns, nobody's going to use them. And then Firebug becomes a terrible perk. So that's not a valid option. You can't add heat to the resistance pool on those guys because then everybody would just use enfeeble. Because we're not using fire because it's particularly good. We're using fire because it's a high damage, high ammo weapon that isn't particularly weak to the two biggest threats. Well, if you made it weak to one of the two biggest threats, we would just use another damage type that actually has a good effect tied to it. Because it would be just as effective. The reason the Vulcan is so good is its damage typing. Like, I genuinely believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I have a better grasp of this game's systems than the people that made it. Because it is so ludicrous to me that this damage type system exists, and it exists as it does. Statuses are either completely broken or completely useless. So, for example, Confusion is an example of a completely broken status. Confusion makes enemies attack the enemies, like, next to them. They will never aggro a player when they're under this status. Which means if you just have, like, one guy with a Confusion grenade launcher and he shoots it, so it just leaves a Confusion dot pool on the ground, every enemy that walks into it just de-aggros and attacks things next to it, which is just a free kill. You want to win every Hell on Earth game? Have everyone buy Vulcans, have two people buy Confusion grenade launchers, and then just have them spam them at enemy spawn points. And it's literally impossible to even, like, take damage like that. And look, you can see the strength of statuses right here. I put Enfeeble on this boss, and look, he can no longer keep up with me. Look at how fucking slow he is. Just having one person applying this one status to this boss basically nullifies him as a threat. I already talked about cut damage. I want to talk about the movement system now. Oh my god. The movement system in this game is like such dog shit, it's hard to describe. Sprinting in this game doesn't even feel good. Because you need to hold the knife to have any real sprint speed. Which is a Killing Floor staple, granted. But it just feels bad, man. Like, look at how slow I'm moving with this Vulcan. And do you see how I'm just constantly dashing backwards? That's because it's the fastest way to move while, like, kiting like this. So it means 90% of your movement is just walk back, spam, dodge. Also, if you'll notice, you cannot dodge while ADS. I'm going to rant about dodge itself in a second here. But we'll get there when we get there. Yeah, no, you know what? Let's just talk about dodge now. Dodge in this game is grossly offensive to me. Like, it genuinely offends me that dodging is the way that it is. Also, let's look again. Look, this time we got 10 Biosteel and 12 Gray Matter. Still more Gray Matter than Biosteel. Granted, this time it would have been enough that we would have gotten more. So the bottleneck still remains. And then I think I recorded a couple games on hard for some stupid fucking reason. Yeah, we're just going to skip these. Okay, we're back to Hell on Earth. This time with no wait, this isn't Hell on Earth either. I think these were like test games that I recorded. Yeah, hold on. This is where I went back to Hell on Earth to continue the train with Commando. Ah. Sorry about that. So, basically, where was I? I lost my place, sorry. Right, the movement system and dodging. Dodging is fucking atrocious in this goddamn video game. I cannot believe that dodging is implemented the way that it is. First off, you cannot dodge while aiming down sights. Who the fuck decided that was going to be a thing? But I actually mean that. Who in the ever-loving fuck decided that was going to be a thing? You have to ADS, shoot, un-ADS, dodge, go back into ADS. It feels so fucking bad. Also, as a side note on statuses, deliberately gimping your damage to build statuses is just bad. But you can get statuses from bonus perks on attachments. This is something that I meant to say, but I completely forgot to. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because getting things like Panic and Stumble from just bonuses without sacrificing damage, that's ridiculously powerful. Because now you're getting the full effect of the crowd control while also getting the full effect of the damage. And that's when things start getting broken and stupidly easy. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. Some guns are just not good at building status. Sharpshooter sucks at building status. But then you just get a grenade launcher and it leaves a pool that instantly applies whatever status to everything for 20 seconds, you know? So it's just what the fuck? Anyway, dodging sucks. There's no iframes. You cannot avoid anything with it. I don't even know why it's in the game. I would have much preferred if there was just no dodge in this game and the game was designed without dodge in mind in any capacity. Because the only time you dodge is in situations like this right here, where you're walking backwards and shooting something and you just need to get space. You see how I'm using it, right? This is how you use dodge in this game. You gather every enemy up. And, I mean, just look at this. The enemies are fucking retarded. They spawn in, they sprint towards you, and if you juke them, they all line up and just walk in one big Zerg ball group. They have no tactics, they have no strategy. The Husk is the only enemy that doesn't do this. And subsequently, he's the most annoying and arguably, necessary. You know what I find really funny, by the way? Everybody complained about Midars in Killing Floor 2, and now the Husk basically serves the exact same role as the Midar of being a somewhat tanky, unless you hit a very specific weak point, ranged enemy that just constantly applies pressure to you. Which really tells me that a lot of the people complaining about... No one's complaining about the Husk, but people love the bitch about the Midar. So, you know... I do love that, though. They removed the Midar, you know, the monkey's paw curl. Midars are finally gone from Killing Floor. But, do you know what we gained? Every enemy having a fucking projectile. Which leads into dodge, because if, a siren has locked onto you with her, Mega Man pellets, and you spam click dodge, because there's a cooldown on the dodge... Right, this is perfect for what I'm talking about with the movement. Perfect way to describe it. The siren locks onto you and starts shooting her projectiles. You click dodge. You dodge the first 3, but then the last 3 still hit you because the dodge is on cooldown. And she's tracking you the entire time. Why even have dodge? It didn't do anything. You would have been better off just sprinting or sliding. And it's like that for every attack in the game. The only time dodge is useful is to just quickly dodge to the left or right to dodge an attack like a flesh pound's ground pound. Maybe that's the point, and that's why it exists. But man, why even have it, you know? Like when the Mire Queen or whatever teleports around, that instant kill charge teleport thing she does, as soon as you see her climb out of the pool, you just immediately dodge to the left or right, and you can never get hit by that attack. Also, you can see what I was talking about statuses being OP here. I have Stumble on all of my bullets, like all of my attachments, fully stacked up 3 times. And look at that. That Scrake couldn't even move. The Scrake, like, legitimately could not move. However, if I gave up, say, 30% of my damage to apply that, then it would suck because I would run out of ammo before the wave ends. So it's like a catch-22. But it's a catch-22, basically. I mean, look at this. Look at this right here. That Scrake should have absolutely fucking demolished me. He had me in a corner climbing over, but because I just get free crowd control from my bonus perks on the weapons, I just get out of it for free. Like, this Scrake is a complete non-threat. I'm more scared of the Husk and Gorp Pounds or whatever than the Scrake, which just feels wrong. But if you didn't have those bonus perks because you haven't grinded it yet, or you aren't willing to click spam on the menu for 15 hours or whatever, then this guy would just be running at me, ignoring it, and he would be a gigantic threat. So you see what I'm saying? Like, it's good enough that if you ignore it, you are noticeably weaker than people that don't ignore the system. So it's in that really annoying middle ground where it's good enough that you kind of really want to take advantage of it if you're going to min-max in any capacity. But it's not good enough that people who aren't interested in min-maxing will feel the need to do it, which means they're just always going to be slightly underpowered. Which I guess is a cheap way to ensure the game is always sort of difficult, but whatever, it's not what I would do. So, on top of the movement being clunky, sliding also kind of sucks. The only time you slide is if you're sliding downstairs because it conserves your momentum and you go absolutely flying. Kind of like the one guy from Borderlands 3, I forget his name. But like, it's just why even have it? And that's really my main complaint with this game. So many mechanics are just, why are you even here? You know? So, let's finish off talking about movement finally. Zip lines are too fucking strong. As I showed on the previous map, zip lines are way too good. If you spend the multi-tool to activate, like, the zip lines on the map, you can basically loop bosses and whatever forever. It makes like a Mario Party grand tour of zip lines. Damn, bro. Teabagging the NPC is crazy work. Anyway. So something you've probably also picked up, because I mentioned it in the shooting range. Why does the screen shake so much? The screen shakes so fucking much in this game. Like, when you're shooting, it is impossible to play sharpshooter in this game super effectively because the screen's constantly shaking. And also, this game doesn't really have recoil. It has fake recoil. And what I mean by fake recoil is it's the kind of recoil where the gun's model bounces around a ton, but the actual gun isn't, like, kicking up or anything. So, you're not really fighting recoil. You're fighting this atrocious ground bouncing shit. Oh crap, I lost my place. So, as I already pointed out, hitboxes do not line up with the visuals, which subsequently, just as a whole, makes projectiles just kind of like garbage to fucking deal with. So, everyone's been complaining about this. The Bloat has a long-range projectile. The Clot has a long-range projectile. The Siren has a long-range projectile. The Scrake has a near unfucking avoidable grab. Like, it's rough. It's really rough. I won't pretend or try to lie to you. It's really rough. You cannot, you have to like slide then dodge the siren's projectiles, which just, why do I have to press like 4 keys to avoid this attack that shouldn't even exist? The bloat shouldn't even have a projectile. It's offensive to me that the bloat has a projectile. His purpose is a range control enemy that punishes you for, you know, not having spatial or situational awareness. Because if you push him or try to control him in any way, you get exploded on and punished like the boomer from Left 4 Dead. But instead, fuck that, just give him a super big AoE range projectile, which just turns him into an inferiorly designed husk. So the movement speed from the perks really does bear repeating. If you take every class's movement speed ability, you basically can never be hit or caught up with. You could just run the Mario Party Grand Prix forever. So this is something that I mentioned in my Killing Floor 3 is Still Terrible video. But the guns just sound like absolute dog shit. Every fucking gun sounds bad in this game. I've used them all pretty extensively. There's not a single gun that I like. I don't like the way they feel. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they sound. I hate how they take up a quarter of the fucking screen. I hate how they... I hate the way they jistle and shake. I genuinely don't think there's a single good gun in this game. Look at the Vulcan. Do you see how it's like pew, like you shoot it, and it's like the softest, weakest, wet thud of a shooting sound? Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This gun has a soft thud for a shooting sound. But the gun, like, kicks back over your shoulder and shakes around like a Spartan laser from Halo. And it's like, okay, you think maybe you could make it, like, sound like that? The Vulcan is just the Spartan laser from Halo. It's designed the same, it's held the same, it shoots the same with the charge. Like, it's literally just Halo Spartan laser, but a different take on it. The difference is, while the Spartan laser is charging, you hear that, and then, with this gun, you don't hear anything when you're charging it, and then you just get like, and it's just like, ugh. So, I already mentioned it, but I just want to rant about the enemies now. You see that little skinned fucking Chinese death baby right there? That guy's called a Gorefast. And he's like the most dangerous enemy in the game. On Hell on Earth, they take about 20 damage off of you, 20 health, and they outrun you when you don't have movement speed bonuses active. So it just kind of means, like, this one common enemy ends up being more dangerous than just about everything else. Everything other than husks. Husks are stupidly overpowered. Also, the special effects in this game suck. Look at the fire. Really look at the fire effect. Like, when I get... Next time I'm on fire, look at the fire effect. Hold on. I need to pull something up for reference to show you. There was an old game called Street Fighter 4. And it had a bar called Ultra. And if you look right here, do you see this stock fucking fire effect? This shit would just, like, here, let me go off, let me go off the beaten path for a second here and just show you this random person's video. Oh, random person, it's Baphael, never mind. Look at this stock fire effect. Do you see how garbage this looks? Literally the worst fucking thing imaginable. Okay, really just look at this. Look at this stock effect. Now, look at the in-game fire whenever I get set on fire by a husk. And you will see, it looks exactly the same. I mean, look at that fire. That fire looks the same. But anyway, so husks, the big fire guys, they're really fucking awful to deal with. For the simple fact that they're constantly jumping around. They're constantly going all over the place. They are constantly above you. Sometimes they are straight up out of sight. You'll notice this if a husk jumps on top of a building at the end of a round. they will be legitimately off of the screen shooting down mortars at you. And remember how I said projectiles are like borderline impossible to dodge? Yeah, well, this is where that comes back up again. Sirens are annoying as fuck for the exact same reason. They're basically a non-threat until they decide to ping you for like 30 damage. Because, like this right here. That attack is so obnoxiously overpowered. Literally, what could I have done there? I guess just wrong place, wrong time, unlucky, GG, no re, shake my hand, bro. Executions are also terrible. So, executions, you're invincible while you do them, but you're not invincible to effects. So, like, you can get fire placed on you, you can get a bloat to vomit on you, or a siren will start their AoE while you're doing the execution. And the microsecond the execution ends, you're able to take damage again. This means that you're doing the execution, then you come out of it, then every enemy that's been constantly attacking you the entire animation, just all their damage, like, explodes on you at once and you just instantly die. Again, look, there's that fucking siren attack. Look at how broken it is. You cannot tell me, let's play a game, where's Waldo? Where's the siren? Let's play the game, where's the siren? Let's go back to that part and play where's the siren. Because this is something that shocks me. There's like legitimate retards that tell you that the enemy design in this game is good. No, it is not. Everything in this game looks the same. Okay, we're almost at the part. Okay. Let's play a game. Where's the siren? You have no fucking idea because all this frivolous bullshit you don't want to see is covering the screen. Okay, let's play a game. Where's the siren? Oh, I don't know. Okay, where's the siren? I don't know. Can't see it still. Okay, there it is. You could, oh, fuck. You could finally have saw the siren there for like a microsecond in between the ADSs. But again, it's just metal glowy shit. Just like the Scrake, just like the Flesh Pound. It's all metal. It's all glowy shit. It's all fucking bullshit. Flesh Pounds and subsequently Scrakes have ludicrous amounts of HP because of the damage chart. If you are using a weapon that is a damage type that the Scrake is weak to, then the Flesh Pound is strong against it, etc., as I showed. This has the unfortunate side effect of, like, I don't know the exact values, I'm going to be honest with you. I tried to find them, but I couldn't. But it feels like they have about 5,000 HP each. And if they're strong against something, they now need like 10,000 damage to die to it. Because it's like they take half damage. And this really goes back to the type chart complaint. But like, it always guarantees that one of these guys is going to take forever to kill. And the bosses are just disgustingly overpowered. In multiplayer, in Hell on Earth, 6 players, because they don't scale enemy HP. They only scale their damage. This means that every single boss, without exception, almost every single attack they do will one-shot you. You can have 125 purple armor holding block on your knife, and you will get one-shot by almost every attack from every boss. It is so designed to not be soloable. Speaking of, the one last point before I completely go off the notes, off the script, and this turns into a more unhinged, like, loud, ranty video. This game has no future. This game has absolutely no future whatsoever. All of the problems are interconnected and intertwined. This game was made last second, rushed in every capacity. Their roadmap is disgustingly poor. They want to add 1 new class and like 5 new weapons. By the way, they showed us in the trailer that the first 3 weapons they're adding, they were already made. It's cut content that they're re-adding as DLC. So the first like month or 2 of extra content It's all shit that's already existed. Let me start up the next video here to talk over. It's all shit that's already existed. The content for like the first like 2 or 3 updates, it's going to be all shit that's already existed. So like I don't really know what the plan is after that, you know? But yeah, I hate to be that guy. I don't think this game has any future at all. This game already has less daily players than Killing Floor 2. Yes, I know Killing Floor 2 is heavily botted for Steam items. You don't need to tell me. But this is my final point before this video goes completely off the rails. Killing Floor 3 is already at 2,000 players. Hell, I am going to open up Steam charts right now just to prove a point. This game has already been surpassed by its prequel in player count. Killing Floor. Okay, here it is. You occasionally get days like today where it's got more people playing it. But I want to point something out to you. Whenever Killing Floor 2 gets new content like this right here, it skyrockets to like 10, 12,000 players. See, like whenever they actually add something that's hype, then they'll have like years like this where all they add is like a new weapon. But Killing Floor 2 can routinely push over 10,000 like this whenever they actually add cool stuff. Killing Floor 3, it has already dipped below like daily average of like 6,000 players. There's all kinds of screenshots going around. It took exactly 5 days for this game to be less played than the previous game. Even with bots, that's not good. That's not the sign of a successful game. Okay, now we can go off the deep end and I can just start talking about whatever the fuck. This game is fucking ridiculous. This game is for like retards. This game has the dumbest defenders I've ever seen in my life. I go on the Steam discussion forums on this game almost daily, and the defenses people have for this game are insane. It's always shit like, oh, well, Killing Floor 2 launched in a bad state too. What are you, a child? Like, are you actually a fucking child? Just because the game that came out 10 years ago on a shoestring budget was bad, doesn't mean the game that is like 3 times the budget and a decade of industry maturity behind it also gets to have the same privilege of a bad launch. Oh, and then another thing, like, do you see this shit right here? Look at this! Look at that! That's not, as the UK would like to say, when a disproportionately high amount of Muslims stab white people to death. It's not, as they say, an isolated incident. Hold on, let me look for it. Boom. Right here. What's going on here? Enemy spawned outside of the map. This is a consistent problem, by the way. Wave 4, Hell on Earth, this map, this guy, like, always spawns. So it's, like, not a playable map right now. They fucking broke the skill system. Look at this. There was a point where you could just continuously spend proficiency points and it just wouldn't take them from you. So you could like max out every perk you had available to buy on a class. That wasn't even like cheating, bro. That was just like in the game for like an hour or two because the server's completely broke. Payday 3, its biggest issue was that for 3 weeks after launch, you literally couldn't turn the game on and play it. This game has like 1/10 the people trying to play it as Payday 3, and it's still running into issues like this. What the fuck is up with Unreal games, bro? Like, genuinely. Why does every modern Unreal co-op game have server issues? Why does every game in general launch with server issues? I mean, I know why. It's greed. It's greed. It's not. It's always greed. I actually have experience and know what it's like to increase server capacity. I know that it's as simple as just calling up Microsoft and saying we would like to buy more cloud space. I know for a fact it's that fucking simple. Because I've literally done it before. Like, most games use cloud computing servers now. They aren't like physical devices in a warehouse. And ironically, even if they are, it's as simple as just adding more of them. You can look at the pre-order numbers and say, right, if every single person that pre-ordered the game logs in, how much capacity do we need? Then say, right, now if pre-orders are only half of the initial day one sales, how much capacity do we need? Okay, take your pre-order numbers, double them, and then add a 20% safety net, and there you go. That is your server requirements for day one. The problem is, no studio wants to pay that. They want to say, okay, we pre-ordered 500,000 copies. So let's get enough space for 500,000 people. And then you always run into these issues. Then they temporarily turn on cloud servers for as long as they need to, and then they slowly shut them off and stop paying for them as the player base dies down from the initial hype. I know because thanks to doing this YouTube stuff long enough and getting enough of a fan base, I am friends with enough people that work in the industry in all sorts of studios. Like niche EU co-op game studios to Rockstar. I know people from there and everywhere in between. I know exactly how this works. Most server issues are purely caused by greed and incompetence. They don't want to, like, verify that the IT guy is doing it correctly and, like, actually, you know, take his advice seriously. They don't want to pay the server capacity that's needed. So it leads to all sorts of fucking problems. I guarantee you, I could live on the air here, try to queue into a game and it won't work. You know what? You know what? Let's try that. Let's try it. Let's actually try to just live queue into a game mid-recording. And let's just see if this fucking works. Because I don't think it's gonna. I have severe doubts that it's going to work. But dude, oh my god, this game feels like shit to play. You can't... Bro, there isn't even a text chat. There isn't a way to, like, fucking... If you join someone's party and they want to make you the leader, or the other way around, you want to make someone else the leader, you can't even do that. There's no way to make someone party leader. There's no party leader kick. There's no vote. Like, it's vote kick only. There's no dedicated fucking servers, which means, like, you can't host custom games or have mods on a server or anything. You can't moderate your own servers. You can't have a blacklist. You can't do anything. All of the things that made Killing Floor 2, you can't do in this game. Oh, look, we got the bug. We got the bug. We're endlessly stuck connecting. Watch. It's going to do this for like 50 seconds or whatever, and then it's going to go away, and then we're going to be stuck looking at the empty screen of the VTOL. But the game's going to go on. Watch. You're seeing live. Oh, look, there it is. There it is. And then watch. If I turn the audio up. Look, you can hear people. See this? Look, this is a workaround, by the way. Look, see, I'm stuck connecting. Now it says all my classes are level 1. Let's just pick a character. I'm 0. Like, bro, what is going on right now? Like, none of my stuff saved. But look, I still have, like, the 296 operational budget. I mean, what the fuck is even going on right now? Level 0, all of my stuff was deleted. But then I go back, and it's all fine. Like, you just got to witness live somebody just casually trying to play Killing Floor 3 and the game not working. That wasn't scripted. That wasn't pre-recorded. That was just live. I just tried to play the game casually and it didn't fucking work. The people that are do not listen to the people trying to defend this game, bro. They are either mentally disabled or they are lying to you. Like, there's no in between. This game, maybe you're the lucky one that has no fucking problems of any capacity, but everyone else does. And I know this is not just a me thing, because there's like half of the front page of the Steam discussion board is people saying, yeah, I can't connect. I get stuck in the VTOL. Speaking of, why the fuck is there a VTOL in this game? Why is there a fucking hub world? Ironically, my problem with the connecting and not being able to join any game wouldn't be a thing if there was no VTOL. If I just spawned in the fucking game like you do, if I opened up a server browser and just dropped into the game like you do in Killing Floor 2, I wouldn't have that issue. That is a potential point of failure that was brought on by the new system. When the old system worked fine and literally could not run into this issue. They added an issue that never used to exist. Oh my god. Oh yeah, and then this, I want to just say this. This is, I bought a credit pack to get a cosmetic so that I could show you something for the sake of the video. And I noticed this. It added that pack to my Steam fucking inventory, man. My Steam. Hello, everybody. It's Pathfinder. Welcome to Killing a Floor 3. Anyway, sorry, I don't know what compelled me to do that. But it added it to my fucking Steam inventory, bro. Why? Why would you add it to Steam inventory? Why would you not just, like, I don't know, do what any other fucking game does and not add it to the Steam inventory? And I need to point this out. Every cosmetic clips in this game. But are you ready to see something truly egregious? Like something that actually would piss off just about anyone? When I figured this out, I knew I had to buy this to show people. Alright, so look at this, right? Look at this. Outfit. Yeah? Look, it changed headgear. You see that? Look, you are not allowed to mix and match these cosmetics. So far, every single premium cosmetic that they've added, except for the classic Foster skin, you have not been able to mix and match. It has always been like this. So, this also means it's impossible. So look at this. Look at this. Yellow helmet. But look, there's no way to get the yellow body. The only way to get the yellow body is to put this on and have this turn the body on. So you can either have the outfit be all blue or one piece yellow, one piece blue. You cannot mix and match the pieces together with anything else, nor can you choose which color you'd like to have on. This is not a real video game, bro. They couldn't even get the premium cosmetics right. I'm speechless. I'm actually fucking speechless. They couldn't even do the bare fucking minimum. They couldn't even do the bare fucking minimum for the premium fucking cosmetics. What are you doing? I'm honestly running out of things to say. Because you know what this video is making me realize? There's not that much to complain about, because there's just not much in this game. This game's incredibly shallow. I've genuinely touched on almost every single system in the game. And it only took me like an hour and a half. Like, there's genuinely not many more systems to even talk about. I've complained about almost every enemy. I've complained about almost every class. I've complained about the weapons. Like, genuinely... Oh, no, there is one other thing I haven't complained about yet. Hold on. The map design. So, do you see how this map is super open? These maps are garbage. They're either like sewers, where they're all 100% tight corridors, or they're maps like this, or like Relay Station, where they're all 100% open maps. The final straw for me, though, man, was the fact that for the last 3 days, I haven't been able to play the game at all because of this connecting error. And Tripwire hasn't even acknowledged it, so I don't know if it's ever going to get fixed. For all I know, I might just never be able to play the game again, which honestly is probably a fucking blessing in disguise. I was willing to tolerate and at least try to get some enjoyment out of the game by playing it with people in Discord and stuff. But now I can't even do that. I am trying so fucking hard. I'm using cheats to get past the garbage tier grind. I'm using multiplayer to get past the boring fucking gameplay. And I'm trying to at least have fun with friends. But the game just keeps beating me down, man. I have to constantly try to have fun in this fucking game. And as soon as I find a system that makes it sort of tolerable to where I'm like, I enjoyed myself a little bit. I log in the next day and they're like, whoops, a new problem. The game's fucking broken, so now we're taking that away from you too. The game's graphics look like shit. The character models look like shit. The enemies all look the same. I don't know what else to say. I cannot think of one fucking positive to say about this goddamn game. I genuinely can't think of a single positive thing to say about this game. Now that I'm thinking about it, nothing is satisfying. The only thing about this game that I enjoy is going into multiplayer, being super powerful because I'm effectively a fully maxed out end game, like min-max character, and being really strong when everyone else is weak. It's nice to know that they probably only beat the thing because of me, and that I'm able to help people get to what they want. That's like the only enjoyable aspect of this game. But god damn, man, like what the fuck? It sucks. Yeah. And you know what's really painful? Throughout all of this gameplay that you've been watching, have you been able to tell apart any of the rounds? They all look the same. And like, I guarantee you, if you showed this video to someone who's played Killing Floor 2 and someone who's not played Killing Floor 3, they would not be able to tell what perk I'm playing. This game doesn't have a soul. It doesn't even have an identity, dude. Every perk uses the same weapons. Every perk uses the same play style. You literally couldn't tell me what class I'm playing right now if you haven't played the game before. And you covered up the little class icon. Even if you're a veteran of the series. Because you know what? Obviously I win the fucking run. Let's go to the medic. Can you tell me that I'm playing the medic? Look, I'm using the same scar. The only thing that might give it away is the blue clouds popping on their death. If you're an astute Killing Floor 2 player, you'll recognize that as kind of a medic-y thing. And then, obviously, I win the fucking medic run. Like, do we even need to go over it? So then I do ninja. And guess what? Let's skip to a random part of ninja here. I am doing the exploit. Look, I'm doing the exploit. You might be able to tell this is Berserker. I mean, no, this doesn't even look like Berserker gameplay. I explicitly, for the purpose of this video... Oh, yeah, watch this shit. Goodbye, Flesh Pound. Goodbye, Flesh Pound. Hell on Earth, Flesh Pound, by the way, dies in like 2 seconds to this. And this game is full of exploits like this. Things that are strong. Oh, hey, look at that. Can you tell me I'm playing the Berserker right now? Yeah, I could really tell that I'm playing Berserker. Did you know this is high-skill Berserker gameplay? I could really tell. But, yeah, man, I don't know what else to say. Like, yeah, I don't know what else to say. With that isn't getting into super minutia, like complaining about how I mean, did you just see that? The ability for the ninja that forcibly drags you to the enemy doesn't give you protection or even stun the thing you're dragging towards. How am I about to say these words? Space Marine 2, the Vanguard, at least his ability froze the thing you were attached to. They didn't even think to do that. It's that poorly fucking designed. None of the things in this game feel like they are well designed. None of the things in this game feel like they are designed to work together. And what the fuck is this thing? Do you see that? The little glowy thing on the Vulcan? Everything is broken. What is this thing? It was up here, now it's down here. What even is this thing? Nothing in this game works. Everything is buggy. Every weapon has bugs. Everything has visual bugs. The multiplayer never works. The game's only been out for like a week, and it's constantly breaking. And you know what's really crazy? There are people that actually defend this game. So obviously I beat the boss. There you go. Every fucking class. And it is genuinely, people always say that I'm like bragging or sucking myself off or whatever. No, you guys gotta believe me. The reason why the B-roll for this video is me first try beating every single hell on earth with every single class on almost every single map is because if you don't do that, people will just ignore all your complaints. They'll just say skill issue. How do you like that for a fucking skill issue? 99% of you motherfuckers could not go win 7 hell on earths in a row. Especially not if you had to play each perk. But I like how every perk boiled down to the exact same strategy. Okay, something that I wanna show. This is also kind of not scripted. I wanna go on here. Yeah, by the way, this is another thing that I wasn't gonna talk about, but I kind of want to. The moderation surrounding this game is fucking insane. Remember that they wanted you to have an NDA for a fucking 3-hour long beta? Remember how they were DMCAing everything on YouTube, showing it off? Yeah, if you say anything in this forum bad about the game, you will get banned for it. But like, you just click on something and it's like you get like so many people, you know, that are like defending this game. It's like ridiculous. Here, I guarantee you I can go on just a random page. Like right here. How did it get this bad? And it's like, you know, oh, like no brain review bombers. Oh, entitled children that throw a fit. Those are the... Really? Really? All those problems, all those bugs, literally can't even play the fucking game for like... The game's only been out for like 5 days. And 3 of those 5 days, the game's literally been not playable for half the people that are trying to play it and bought it. And it's like, you're telling me those are just entitled children throwing a fit. Really? Really? Those are entitled children? Oh yeah, another thing, this game is super susceptible to macros. I make a macro live in this recording, and I show it off like right here. Look, you generate the heal darts as fast as you shoot. So if you have a macro that just does the heal darts for you, guess what? You know, it's just a gigantic increase to your DPS. But this is what I'm talking about. This is why the meta is so stale. Do you see how my gun is almost completely out of ammo and only has like 3 magazines left? Yeah, I don't have enough ammo to finish this run. Like this wave. Yeah, you can see there's like 5 heavy Zeds left and I'm almost out of ammo. So like, you know, here's what we're going to end this video off on. We're going to end it off on this. This is also probably going to be the thumbnail. I'll just title this like this is a real screenshot. I just, there's nothing redeemable about this game. Literally, there's nothing redeemable about it. I predict this game will be dead within a month. I predict that by the end of the next 30 or 60 days, this game is going to dip into like the 1,000 player range. I just foresee it. I just see it. I don't think new weapons are going to drive people back because Killing Floor 2 got away with new weapons because everything about Killing Floor 2 was solid enough that expanding the sandbox was all people really cared to see. But in this game, the sandbox is a problem, but so is everything else. Even if you expanded and fixed the sandbox, you wouldn't change all of the other jank and garbage surrounding the game. And honestly, I would just like to say something a bit controversial. Killing Floor as a series has always been kind of bad. Killing Floor 1 was pretty bad. It was jank. It sucked to play, but it had a lot of heart. Killing Floor 2 had substantially less heart, but was significantly smoother to play. But at the end of the day, all 3 Killing Floor games are like 5 out of 10s at best. There's so much rose-tinted nostalgia bullshit going on where people are praising Killing Floor 2. But like, guys, Killing Floor 2 is not exactly a good game either. Okay? Like, the weapons look good, the animations look good, but like, it suffers from a lot of the same problems of a boring gameplay loop of just kiting the same 3 enemy types backwards the entire game. I don't know why Killing Floor 3 was made. It serves no artistic purpose, it has no reason to exist, and it did nothing to expand, improve, or change the formula that was already old 10 years ago when it came out. And one final thing, you know how I know this game was made by people that don't like it or Killing Floor? Mr. Foster. Let's do this together. Because do you want to know what really just broke me about this game? Where is it? Codex, characters. Horizon clone of the early 21st century mercenary known as Mr. Foster. Stop. Mr. Foster has a wife. Mrs. Foster. Why? In God's green earth, if this game was written by someone who liked Killing Floor or even remotely cared about quality, you know what they would have said? This is Foster Jr. And they also probably would have had Old Man Foster in the game as well. So, right. When I say this game has no heart or soul, this is what I'm referring to. Foster could have easily just had a child, and this could be Mr. Foster's son. If this was a good game, the trailer would have been Mr. and Mrs. Foster with their gas masks on. She'd be wearing a bikini, he'd be wearing swim trunks, and they'd be relaxing on a beach. And he'd turn and be like, "Oi, it's lovely this time of year, ain't it, love?" And then something exaggerated would happen, and like Mr. and Mrs. Foster would get pulled back into the fray despite being like 65 years old. Because that's old enough that you can still be somewhat physically active, but it's old enough that you're allowed to be grumpy, miserable, and bitter, but it's not old enough that you're completely frail and vulnerable. Especially in a world with like genetic mutations and shit, I could totally believe Mr. and Mrs. Foster get pulled back into the fray and they're grouchy and grumpy and just want to retire, kind of like the Killing Floor franchise. And that would have been completely perfect. Or this could have just been Mr. Foster's son. But instead, they do the worst, the laziest thing possible. And they say, "Oh, it's a clone." Which, ironically, cloning is how the Zeds got created. So this is like Zed Foster. The thing that he hates and spent his whole life fighting against. Yeah, he's technically half one of them now. And this isn't even Mr. Foster. He doesn't sound like him. He doesn't act like him. He doesn't talk like him. I miss when a character started monologuing and Foster would go like, "Oi, mate, if you don't shut your fucking trap right now," to end the voice line early. I miss that. Now we get political statements like, "Knife crime is a fucking tragedy." Buddy, you are living in a world overrun by zombies that are mass murdering everyone, and it's time for commentary about the UK's knife crime problem? What? You don't have a knife crime problem in this game, buddy. You have a fucking evil corporate zombie army taking over the world problem. You got fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi here. Adup Balipe. I like, none of these characters are even characters. Speaking Japanese. Text missing. Bro, I like how this character, her subtitles are speak Spanish, and then it doesn't tell you what it actually fucking means. This guy's subtitles are speaking Japanese, and then it doesn't tell you what it fucking means. So there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4 characters in the game that have any kind of character to them. And the character that they do have is, like, non-existent. I don't know. Everything about this game sucks. Like, this hub area is so garbage. The fact that I can start, right? The fact that I can click start, but I still have to run up to the VTOL like it's fucking Space Marine 2. And again, this only exists to show off cosmetics. They stole it from Deep Rock. And you know why Deep Rock is allowed to do this and no one complains? No one complains about the hub world in Deep Rock because it's fun. You buy beers. You goof around. You kick barrels. There's like 3 mini games in there. Hell, you could spend an hour just fucking about in Deep Rock's hub world with your friends. But in this game, the hub world only exists to give a physical button for skills, a physical button for starting a game. Both of these can be achieved more efficiently in a menu. So the only reason this exists is for the VTOL. And the only reason the VTOL exists is so people can see your cosmetics. Like, if this game was made by not devs that had their foreskin chewed off by Jewish priests when they were kids, you'd be able to play Killing Floor 1 in the game right here. Like, it's just so, like, garbage. Why is this not, like, an actual games console with, like, even something stupid, like, remember Doom's Chicken Puncher shit? Just give me something like that. Give me, like, Zed Beater. And it's just a flesh pound on the ground that I can click and deal damage to. Dude, even Helldivers had some mini games for you to do. The fucking stratagem thing. This game has literally nothing. There is literally no reason. What is this? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, I didn't even know about this live unfiltered reaction. This area is classified and off limits. Do you guys know that subreddit We Want Plates? I want to make a video game subreddit called We Want Menus. If your system can be like this is useful for a new player to know that they can break these biometrics things. This shows you every breakable object in the game. Like for resources. Bro, it took me like 7 hours to figure out that these things right here were breakable. And I only figured it out because I noticed that every breakable object glows red, and this was also glowing red. Why is this here? No, wait, genuinely, why the fuck is this even here? Look at this. One sentence, which I'm sure has some grammatical issues in it. Like, this is... Oh yeah, that's another thing, the maps. So, the tense part of Killing Floor that's supposed to be difficult is when you finally get forced out of an area. You know what pisses me off? Never at any point in game does any character say the word dosh. Oh, you want to see something else that pisses me off since we're on this topic? Look at this. So you wait for the crafting, then you recycle, you wait for the server to process it, and then you craft again. And this is what you do until you roll a good bonus ability like this. This is legitimately what you do. It's like so garbage. Also, you have to click save twice. When you go to exit the menu and it asks you if you'd like to save, it doesn't just save after you've confirmed you want to save. You have to, like, click save twice. Why does this area exist? You can't even go in here? You can't even, like, go say hi to the person? Remember when Payday 2 added a safe house, and granted, nobody used it because you didn't have to use it, but you could at least walk around and talk to all the characters? They couldn't even be bothered to let you walk into the administrator office like that and just talk to the administrator. They couldn't even record like 3 voice lines that would endlessly repeat. Just the laziest, least amount of care in the world type of fucking game design. This game has nothing. It has no heart. It has no soul. It has no identity. It does nothing unique. It doesn't try to be anything. It never attempts to reach out of the valley of mediocrity. This game is painfully, agonizingly boring. It is painfully broken. And it has a $100 special edition. This is what gaming has turned into. Every single thing in this game was copy and pasted from another better video game with no understanding as to why it was there in the first place. Meaning this game has no identity of its own. It does nothing. There's nothing in it that it can call its own. This is not art. This is not a project that anyone at any phase from conception, design, voice acting, music, coding had any desire to create. This is not a video game. This is... Hold on. I know exactly what to compare this to. Hold on. Gray slop patty. This is a synthetic video game. Right here. This is what this game is. Literally, no, this is going to be the thumbnail. This is Killing Floor 3. It is meaningless, gay goy slop. It is the Zog Chow of video games. It's not trying to do anything. It's not trying to be a fulfilling experience. And you know what? I bet most of the people who worked on this game did not at any point say, I really hope that the customers enjoy this. I really hope people have fun playing this game. I bet they just clocked in, did what the manager told them to do, and it's a job. Because honestly, that's how I would describe this game. It's a job. It's a job to grind out the classes because they aren't fun when 80% of their perks aren't available. Because they're basically not even classes at that point. It's not fun to grind the materials because you're shooting the same things in the same locations on the same maps over and over again for 200 hours until you can craft everything. None of the systems are fun to engage with. None of the systems are even designed to be engaged with. Like, let's say you do spend 200 hours and you've built up like 5,000 materials and you want to try to craft for a better bonus perk. Well, that system is miserable too. It's underwhelming, it's underpowered, it's miserable to engage with. Everything in this game is just fucking bad. And you know what? Even the music sucks. The main menu riff from Killing Floor 2, the jun, 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 is now the main combat song. What used to be just a little catchy loop that you'd listen to for like 10-20 seconds in Killing Floor 2 is now the main riff that you're expected to listen to all day. The people who designed this game have such a fundamental misunderstanding of the synthetic elements that they stole from every other aspect of the gaming industry, that they didn't even, the people making the music for this game didn't even understand that a riff that works as a menu jingle becomes maddening if you have to listen to it as like the chorus of most of the songs in the game. This is one of the very few video games where I can actually say that even the people making the artistic music part of the game fucking sucked at their job and probably didn't want to be doing it. Seriously, there's not a positive about this game. It is inferior music to Killing Floor 2. It is inferior animations to Killing Floor 2. It has inferior charm to Killing Floor 2. And it even has inferior gameplay to Killing Floor 2. This is an example of a more expensive sequel that is, for all intents and purposes, worse than the previous game in every fucking conceivable way. Fuck this stupid fucking slop game.